Good morning, Columbus, and our Goodwill community. My name is Curtis, and today is our, excuse me, today is part three of our resume basics class. Over the last 2 weeks, we have talked about the different parts of a resume and doing a search and mining for skill words in a job description. We also did a small little job search online, looked at a LinkedIn account, and today we are putting it all together and creating our resume. So I hope you join along. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So we'll do a quick review, everything that we've learned so far. We learned what a resume is, what to include in a resume, and 6 universal rules for resume writing. So, what is a resume? Short document used to summarize a job seeker's experience and qualifications for a prospective employer. It includes all your contact information, work experience, education, and skills to promote yourself for a job. And it's the most critical part of the modern job application process. Being able to write the best application possible is very important to your success in finding a job. A couple differences. Resume is a listing of your experiences and skills, short to the point, bullet points and columns. Cover letters are the sales pitch or hook, story driven, and introduction, paragraphs, and sentences. The parts of a resume, what you should include when preparing a resume: your contact information, name, address, email, appropriate email, uh, your cell phone number or home phone number if you don't have a cell phone. And if you have a LinkedIn account, include that information as well. And that always goes at the top. Skills and competencies. Like we discussed before, many large companies use applicant tracking software to assist with the online applications they receive. Um, and the program scan hundreds of resumes looking for keywords and ranking applicants based on the needs of the position they want to fill. Resume keywords might be job titles, essential skills, or qualifications. Work experience. The heart of the resume is the information that is your work experience. It can have different titles: work experience, professional experience, or employment history. You only want to list the jobs that are relevant to the job applied for, and you always list them in reverse chronological order. Education. The only items you need to list for your educational background are name of institution, degree, school location, and years attended. I know I'm going fast, but this is review and we've got some other stuff to get to. 6 universal rules for resume writing. Uh, Cover all the basics. Make sure that you've got all your educational stuff, certifications, any relevant work and volunteer experience, contact information, and your relevant and essential skills. That's it. It's very basic. Explore other resumes for inspiration. There are so many different templates that you can see when you Google resume templates. So there's so many different ideas that you can really get a feel for putting something together that fits your personality and fits the job you're applying for. Use as few keywords as possible. Every employer, when reviewing resumes, needs to understand your skills, making them short, easily scannable, rather than dense, wordy paragraphs. Quantify your accomplishments whenever possible. You got to be able to put a number to it to show that you've increased something or that you've made a difference. Employers do look for that. Using keywords that employers are using. Employers want to know that you can speak their language and know the language that is commonly used in the industry. So when they see their own keywords mirrored back to them, it reinforces the idea that you are a strong candidate for the position. Proofread. Proofread. Yeah, always got to look over triple, quadruple, quintuple, always review your resume. Even take some time away from it, complete it, and then come back to it the next day and look at it. Now it's time to put it all together. So, the new information that we've got now is we got to begin by finding the right template for you. So, there's a couple different ways. I have Microsoft Word, so that's what I used for all my examples right now. Either also have access to the Google Suite. You can use Google Docs, and there are templates available online for resumes that you can use. There's just so much information out there at your fingertips that when I first started out many years ago, when the internet was still dial up, it was hard to find anything like that. It's so right there anymore. So, using Microsoft Word, you can find templates for resumes by searching for resume when starting a new document. As you can see in the upper picture, I found the one that I wanted. If you want to see a better picture of the template, click once and it will show a larger image. So that way it kind of gets you a better feel for the layout of it. Now I scanned about 5 different ones on there, and that's just your base package of resumes. So I found one that I felt fit our purpose here for what I'm doing with this video. So then you click on create and it will open the template for you to start editing. So what's the first thing we do? We work on our heading and title. Now you are ready to begin. So with this template design, I went and centered the name to match the rest of the top section. It just looks better. You know, this template had the name off to the left and the address kind of off center to the right. It just didn't look good. Sometimes you'll have to do that, and you really got to pay attention to what kind of format you're going for. Um, so then you begin by putting in your name, your address, your telephone or cell phone number, or both. If you've got both and you want to put both, you can. I just like to put the number that I'm going to be able to get to first. That's my cell phone because it's with me all the time. And if you have a LinkedIn account, here's where you would add it to. You want to put it underneath your address and stuff. Otherwise, that line gets too long with information. So, how it will look. I used a generic name. I put in John Smith. He lives at 1234 York Street, Columbus, Ohio. His number, fake of course for this demonstration, 614-123-456. See how he's got a very basic email account. There are a lot of free email accounts out there. Gmail gives you access to the Google Suite products, as far as Google Docs and whatnot. So you can definitely have one of those already. Um, so he kept it with his name, and obviously there are a ton of John Smiths out in the world. He put some numbers after it. He didn't put any kind of funky name or nickname or something. He kept it very basic. And then he put in his LinkedIn account information there below. Again, that's very helpful for employers because they see you've got a digital footprint out there and they can go and research further information about you. Now it's time to work on our objectives and skills. So it's time to write a catchy objective. Now, this is your sales pitch, and it should state your intent for finding the job for you. More traditional resumes still include it. Some modern resumes exclude this part of a resume and begin with skills and abilities. Either is fine and work well. It's all based on your preference. And again, it also may depend on the industry you're going for. If you're looking for, certain design industries, you're going to want to do something a little bit more fancy. If you're going to a more traditional employer, then you may want to do an objective. So I went and I wrote 3 types of objectives. Um, one at the top, clear and to the point, leading them to read further, motivated and hardworking individual looking for an entry level position that will complement my skills and abilities. That's just plain and simple to me. The next one, you want to highlight experience that will help the company. An experienced professional with years of retail experience looking for a position within a company to expand their sales with opportunities for growth. So it definitely, kind of hones in on some of the things that they might be looking for. That sales, really do. And retail and sales are, if you're going for a retail job, those are two of the keywords that they're going to be looking for. Or integrate the other keywords from our search that we did to help get your resume flagged. Strong, independent worker seeking position that will utilize my experience. We know that strong and independent were a couple of words that we mined from our search last week. So that'll help with those automated search tools that are analyzing the resume that you submit. Now it's time. Okay. So it's time to review the keywords from our search. We did. We found strong interpersonal skills, organize, critical thinking, cash register experience, math, prioritize, attendance, stock display experience, physical aspects, multitasking, finger dexterity, details, compassion, independently or just plain old independent, hand-eye coordination, train, responsibility, cleaning, verbal communication, good judgment, customer service. So those are all the words that we found in the job description that we reviewed last week for a Goodwill thrift store sales associate. So now we want to add these skills and abilities you have based on the keyword search. Didn't quite read right. Read better last night. So try to word the skills as close as possible to the keywords you found on the job description. Some overlap with the objective you wrote is possible. This may help you decide whether to stick with an objective or remove it from your resume layout. You can combine certain skills if it sounds appropriate. So, skills and abilities that I wrote down. First, number one, strong interpersonal skills. Very important, and a lot of employers look for those. Great verbal communication. We know we've got verbal communication down in our search that we found. Ability to multitask. Multitasking is, again, another one of our keywords. Organization. Yes, it's different than the word we found, organize, right? Yes, but it's still one of those words that's probably going to get flagged. Customer service, we're matching up great. And then, we kind of we combine responsibility and cash register experience with responsible cash management. That's a good skill to have, especially when you're working in retail and running a cash register and dealing with customers' money. Now it's time to list our experience. So, this is the format for the resume template. Now, you want to list with your current employer first. You want to have dates. You can either do month, year, or years, depending on how far back the experience is. This format was a little wonky in the fact that it fit better if I just put the years in versus month, year. Um, then you got your description of responsibilities and work. You've also got your job title and company name. Remember to list only relevant work experience / jobs. Maybe we'll do, in another month or two, we'll do a more advanced resume writing where we can discuss what to do for those gaps in employment to show the employer that you haven't worked in a while, but you did have something else you did, it just wasn't relevant. Um, but we'll cross that bridge later. So I used my own personal experience for this one. just because it was easier to come up with, and it's been so long ago, as you can tell, 21 years ago. Um, it was relevant to what we were doing. Ooh, excuse me. Haven't finished my coffee yet. So I used my retail and customer centered experiences. And, I went and I included keywords, show experience that relates to daily operations in retail. I made sure to list a quantitative example, and I am demonstrating interpersonal and teamwork, and that's very vital for retail. So, my current relevant work experience was an assistant store manager at KB Toys. Most fun job I ever had. Nothing against Goodwill, but when you get to play with toys all day and interact with the public and make or break someone's Christmas, um, more times than not making somebody's Christmas, was just a very fun thing for me to do, and I really enjoyed it. I do enjoy what I do for Goodwill right now, don't get me wrong. But for the intents and purposes of this example, um, so as an assistant store manager, I was responsible for daily opening and closing procedures, including cash management and sales documentation. See how I slipped in responsible and cash management into that. Um, I supervised 2 to 4 employees per shift. That's quantitative as well. Um, I created product displays that increased customer traffic into store. You know, remember if you remember our display was one of our keywords during our skill search. And then I raised standard of customer service, raising sales by 150% against last year. That's a great quantitative example, and it shows, you know, that the effort that I put into that job had a good measurable outcome. Though I probably could have used a different word than raised. I could have said improved standard of customer service, raising sales, instead of using raised twice, and that would have been better. But it was late. So my next relevant experience came directly before KB Toys. I was an assistant manager at Cinemark Movies 4, movie theater. Another fun job if you have nothing to do on weekends and holidays because they are open 365 days a year. So I supervised daily operations of 5 to 10 staff in all aspects of the theater. I ran an effective projectionist training program to ensure proper operation and maintenance of equipment. It shows that I can train. Train is one of our keywords that we found. Handled customer concerns to better their experience in the theater. Shows good customer service. And then filled in where needed during periods of high customer counts, assisting staff to keep morale high. There's nothing more effective for staff morale than to see a manager jump right in and help them when they need it the most. And those are good lead from the front examples, and that shows great interpersonal skills. All right, now it's time for education. All right, we got to remember, keep it basic. Do not use GPA unless required for the job. But more importantly, be proud of your accomplishment. Whether you got a high school diploma and that's all you have, or you don't have that, but you went back that 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 same year or years later and you got your GED, or you were able to get maybe an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or some form of further education. Be proud of that accomplishment. Nobody can take that away from you, and that just shows your willingness to complete things. So don't feel insecure that you only have a GED if they're asking for a diploma, because a GED can be harder for someone to get than a diploma. It shows effort. So never forget that. So for our dates, again, I just used my own for this one because I was getting tired at this point. The dates, just use the years 2012 to 2017. The degree, Bachelor of Social Work, location was Marion, Indiana, and the school name was Indiana Wesleyan University. That's all I need. Not that this is relevant to the retail work environment, but it does show that I do have great people skills because of the degree. But you would have to know that. Proofread. Now it's time to review everything we have put into our resume. All right, so here is our final product. Let's review it over. And if you spot anything, let me know. We've got our name, John Smith. We've got our address. Looks like it's spelled correctly. We've got a phone number. We've got an email. It's an appropriate email. And then we've got our link to our URL. That's what is short for web address for our LinkedIn account. And then we've got appropriate amount of spaces. And then we've got our objective. Okay, that looks correct. You notice that I don't have a period at that. You really don't need to put a period at the end of an objective. It's just basically a statement. Let's see, our skills and abilities. Personal skills, great verbal communication, ability to multitask. See how I'm kind of reading out loud? What you're not seeing is that I'm pointing to my screen with my finger and following along, because that sometimes helps. Organization, customer service, responsible cash management. All right, now for our work experience. Manager. Now that blue line is Word did not like the formatting that was. So that's what that blue line means. The great thing about Word, and I believe Google Docs does the same thing, is that if you misspell a word, it'll put a red squiggly line underneath it, or a red line. What it doesn't do is if you spell the word correctly, but it's the wrong word for the job, like the word there are 3 different ways to spell there, and all 3, if spelled correctly, aren't going to flag anything. But if they are the wrong word for what you are writing, then it's going to look goofy, and that's a grammatical error. Just something to keep in mind. Plus, you got to remember homonyms, words that sound alike but have different meanings. Like the word cash. There's also cash that's spelled CACHE. Spelled correctly, it's not going to get flagged, but it's the wrong term, the wrong word, the wrong definition for what we're doing. So I'm still reviewing. Good, nobody's flagged any mistakes for me. Remember, we're a community and we try to help each other out. Okay, now I'm looking at my movie 4 work experience. See how it just lists as experience? Doesn't even label it as work experience or professional experience. They know when they read that that's what it is. It's your employment history. Effective, that's a good one because you got to remember there's effect and effect. One spelled with an E, one spelled with an A. They have different meanings. I believe I have the correct one here. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So I have to keep morale high. And in my education, again with the blue lines, that's just formatting that it didn't like. Those blue lines won't print out when you print out the final copy. Okay, so I've made sure that my name, address, and contact information is correct. I've read through my objective. Everything is spelled correctly. Doesn't look like there's any grammatical errors. The skills are all listed out and formatted correctly. My work experience, aside from a little formatting, that it doesn't like. Everything else seems to be in order. And my education, everything seems on the up and up. So we have gone from the beginning on learning all the different parts and pieces to doing a quick job search and mining for keywords and skills. And now we put it all together into a cohesive resume. You can do this at home. These are things that we also work on with our clients here at Goodwill Work and Community Services. And, these are things that are basic skills that you need in order to be competitive in the job market today. So I hope you learned something, took something away from this. Again, you can always reach out to me. I am here to help, and my team is here to help. And thank you all for following along. I know it's not long today, but we've done all of our legwork. We've put it all together. And you can come back and you can reference these videos to help you out in the future. So enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you soon.